This actually isn't as straightforward as you might think. Tolkien changed his mind a lot about this and actually had 4 different versions of how orcs came to be. And them originating from some kind of cursed elf is not actually his final version. Tolkien's earliest writings have orcs as creatures bred from heat and slime, and they're collectively known as Melkor's children. There's some scenes in the movies that might be a nod towards these earlier origins, and at this point they were created before the elves. But Tolkien was quick to change his mind about this, deciding that orcs were created after the awakening of elves, and that orcs were bred as a mockery of them. His next change keeps some of the same ideas, but he decides that orcs were in fact created from corrupted elves or bred from them. This brought it in line with his rules that Melkor couldn't create any life of his own, and could only twist it. This is the version that appears in most of his public works, and is taken as canon by most fans. But Tolkien was never really satisfied with this origin story. He didn't really want the orcs associated with elves in any way, and so his new theory is that orcs are pretty much animals, but were taught to speak and behave by the Dark Lord. And if that's true, that means the orcs are soulless and they wouldn't have true free will. This change created a lot of debate because people claim that orcs do demonstrate free will. Regardless, it never appeared in any of his published works. The final theory that Tolkien proposed is that orcs actually came from men, and Saruman does prove that this is possible. But this theory also creates some chronological problems. Because the orcs appear earlier than the awakening of men, it just doesn't really make sense. And even though this was the final theory that Tolkien landed on, it doesn't appear in any of his published works either. Tolkien also unfortunately passed away before he could complete the revision, and so his son went with the earlier versions in the published Silmarillion. So the true origin of the Lord of the Rings orcs is still up for debate, and it probably always will be. The orcs being corrupted elves is the one most consistent with the rest of the canon, but it's also the one that Tolkien didn't personally like after writing it. It basically comes down to what's more important, Tolkien's word of God or his actual published works.